My name's Don Bliss, and I'm a veterinary parasitologist. And what I get involved in primarily is field parasitology or applied parasitology, where we actually go out in the field and test products and look at programs. I get involved directly with veterinarians, their clients, producers around the country, feed dealers. And what we do is develop programs, evaluate programs, whether they're working or not. We also, our goal is to, if we find products that aren't working, trying to develop strategies so that we can be successful in parasite control. One of the things I get involved in is when I'm out in the field working with veterinary clinics and producers is we evaluate products that are currently being used. And one of the things that we find is that the veterinary profession and also producers have no way of evaluating their products. Okay, so that means that if they're using a product X and they don't know whether it works or not, maybe they come back and they don't like the way the cattle are, they don't think they clean up nice or shed off, then they got a problem. And one of the things that we can do is go in there and run what we call a fecal egg count reduction test. And that means that we'll go in and pull samples at the time we treat, and then come back in 2 weeks later and pull some samples, and then match it up, and we can calculate whether or not that product is reducing the parasite burden. And if that parasite burden isn't reduced by at least 90%, then we know that we probably have a problem in that product. Either we got some resistance going on, or they didn't calculate the weights correctly on their cattle, or they've got some problem with how that product's going to work. The key thing that we're presenting today is a summary of all the trials that we conducted over the last 2 years in fecal egg count reduction tests that we have offered to the veterinary clinics to be able to run. Okay, so these clinics have participated in this program. They have sent samples into one of the 4 labs that are sponsored to do this program, and then they have that data that we've entered into the national database, and now we're summarizing it and presenting it to the world as to what we're finding for these trials across the United States. Okay. The makeup of these trials, or what we've done to develop these trials, is that we worked with a consensus and developed a consensus protocol with a number of parasitology experts around the country. So we all work together to develop this protocol so that we have a standard protocol that everybody's happy with, that works well, and we're confident of the science. Okay, and this protocol has been used by the USDA National Animal Health Monitoring System to also look at the efficacy of products under field use. So we have a consensus protocol, and that's what we use to conduct these trials over the last 2 years. And that outcome is what we're presenting today. Basically, one of the things that we're looking at is the efficacy of the trials under field condition, efficacy of products under field condition. So one of the things that the veterinarians could do as a veterinary clinic participate in this trial is they could select whatever product they're recommending with their clients, and that's what they can use to test. So each clinic had the opportunity to test 2 different products or run 2 different tests. Okay, so altogether we had a great success, a large number of veterinarians that participated in this program, which kind of surprised me, because one of the reasons that when we offered this to the clinics, we thought, well, would they participate or not? And what we found out is that there was an overwhelming support by the veterinary profession to say, hey, we're recommending products and we don't know if they work. We'd love to participate. So we got this overwhelming support. We got over 225 trials already conducted from 23 different states. So we're talking about veterinary clinics across 23 states. And that's the data that we're seeing, where we now can break it down by products as to how they're working. Altogether, we have almost 8,800 samples that have been evaluated from these 224 trials across the country. And so we were able to break out by product. So one of the things we're evaluating is the macrocytic lactones, which includes all the ivermectin, dectomax, cydectin, one family of compounds, and then we also are able to evaluate fenbendazole, which is another family, totally different family of compounds. What we're seeing with the macrocytic lactones is that we're finding out that and we've known this, but now this data is showing us that the porons were not holding efficacy, and that means that a lot of this poron use across the country is not totally effective. Okay, but one of the things we suspected was, if that wasn't working, what's it doing to the other products, which are the injectable insecticides and some of the other products. Okay, so in evaluating this large database, what we're finding is that the porons are working less than 60% efficacy, and now we come back and look at the injectable products, and they're close to that value. They're in the 66% efficacy. So the porons have pulled down the injectables, and so now that whole product base is way below the expected 90%. So this tells us we got a serious problem. So in looking at now we crossed borders and went over and looked at and evaluated fenbendazole, which is a different family. It belongs to the benzimidazole family, and we found out with that product, with a large number of trials and a large number of samples, that it's still holding at 95% efficacy. And then, because we need these porons and so forth in our industry, we've looked at taking the fenbendazole plus a poron and running those in a trial. And in 9 trials that we've done with those, we found out that we virtually have 100% efficacy. So that combination use for the producer when he's going into the winter, when it's lice season, he still can use his porons. He adds a fenbendazole or Safeguard to that treatment program, and now he's got virtually 100% efficacy.